I'm not totally surprised. I'm a little surprised, I will admit, that the 2014 Arnold Classic will not have women's bodybuilding. That's to say the Miss International for bodybuilding will be gone. That's a huge blow to the division. It's a huge blow to the sport. As recently as a couple weeks ago, I recorded a show with John Romano, Power Hit Radio episode 23, where we talked about this very issue. John made some points that were well taken, points that others like Bob Ciccarillo have made, and really just a lot of people. There are people that enjoy women's bodybuilding, as do I. There are people that are okay with the present look. I personally would like to go more in the direction of Linda Murray. I disagree with some of the critics that say we should go back to Corey Everson, because Corey Everson, really beautiful physique, beautiful person, beautiful body then and today. But then I would say she would be more along the lines of a figure girl today, maybe a physique competitor, but not a bodybuilder. So I think that's too small, too smooth. But I will concede that Iris Kyle is a little much. And so that's why I'm more of a proponent of the Linda Murray physique, not so much the Bev Francis, Kim Trzewski, Iris Kyle physique. Nonetheless, that is an argument for another day, because the entire division has been removed from next year's Arnold Classic. And the Arnold for women's bodybuilding is the same as for men's bodybuilding. It's the second biggest show in the world, and that's arguably because the biggest show points-wise is the Mr. Olympia. But for the women, I almost think the Miss International, in terms of promotion, in terms of professionalism, in terms of the depth of the lineup, I think the Miss International and the Miss Olympia were about even. And so for the ladies to lose that very important event is, I think, is a humongous blow. And I think it also sort of opens the door for Weider AMI to remove women's bodybuilding from the Miss Olympia. If that were to happen, women's bodybuilding would really just cease to exist. We've had other shows. Betty Pariso, for instance, has a show or a series of shows, and Betty Pariso, who is an IFBB pro women's bodybuilder, doesn't include women's bodybuilding in her shows. That is a blow. But to lose the Miss International, I think the writing's on the wall for women's bodybuilding. I think the Miss Olympia will only be a matter of time before that goes. And I don't really see what the women can do. A lot of these women are so big, so cut up, so vascular, because that's what's been expected of them. That's what they've done. And women are different than men. A lot of these changes are irreversible. So I don't think that these women are just going to disappear into the sunset or whatever, reintegrate into society. They're either going to start a new federation, which is unlikely because there's really no money in shows for women's bodybuilding, unless they're promoted correctly. But with that size and that vascularity and those cuts, I just don't believe that the people that liked bodybuilding in 1990, women's bodybuilding, are going to come out now, or it's just going to become an entirely fetish, webcam, porn type, movement, which to me, honestly, is very depressing, because these women are not porn actresses and they're not hookers or athletes, and champion athletes at that. So again, it's very, very sad where women's bodybuilding has gone, and it's very sad that Jim Lorimer and Arnold Schwarzenegger allowed for women's bodybuilding to go away. It's not something that I think they would have done with Ben Weider alive, but even with Ben Weider alive, Ben was really not as active as he was when he was in charge of the magazines. And even though some of the magazines do give women's bodybuilding some attention, like Bob Kennedy's publications, may rest in peace, Steve Bleckman to a certain extent, and even Flex and Muscle and Fitness to a certain extent, they don't give them enough to warrant having the Miss International or the Miss Olympia. So I really think that the women's bodybuilders are going to have to look at this, take notice of this, and if they expect a livelihood in the sport, they're going to have to seriously taper down and go into physique, because there's no future in women's bodybuilding. I mean, this is proof positive. If you want to leave a comment, I sure would appreciate it. Thanks a lot.